and I've selected Gemini 2.5 Flash native audio, which is a preview model from this month. We're not quite the best at naming things, but we do try to get models out into the world as quickly as we can. You can also select different voices for these models. So if you click here, you can see Zephyr, Puck, Sharon, Fenrir. I believe they're named after moons, so not the most intuitive names either. We're working on getting much more human understandable names, but you can kind of search through them, test out a few and use them for your projects. You can select different media resolutions, which we'll talk about in a second. Turn on and turn off things like effective dialogue, which lets Gemini adapt its response based on what it hears. Proactive audio, you can add things like function calling and tools. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on Google search. And you can also do really interesting things like screen sharing. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen in just a second. And we'll take a look at a blog post that that was just recently posted. Hey, Gemini, could you tell me what you see on the screen? Hey, Gemini, could you tell me what you see on the screen?
I see a Google DeepMind page about Genie 3, a new frontier for world models. It's dated August 5, 2025. Below the title, there are images that look like various scenes, including a volcano, underwater life, and a mountain lake.
Cool. Gemini, could you tell me what you see now?
Now I see a comparison table. It compares 4 models, GameNGN, Genie 2, Veo, and Genie 3. Genie 3 is highlighted in green and has 720p resolution, a general domain, navigation, promptable world events for control, multiple minutes for interaction horizon, and real-time for interaction latency.
And I should also have probably checked, could everybody hear the audio that was coming through? Amazing. Very cool. And then I'll ask it another question. Hey, Gemini, could you repeat what you just told me, but could you tell me in Hindi?
जरूर, स्क्रीन पर एक तुलना तालिका दिख रही है। ये 4 मॉडलों की तुलना करती है, GameNGN, Genie 2, Veo और Genie 3। Genie 3 को हरे रंग से उजागर किया गया है और इसमें 720p रेजोल्यूशन, एक सामान्य डोमेन, नियंत्रण के लिए नेविगेशन, प्रॉम्प्टेबल वर्ल्ड इवेंट्स, इंटरैक्शन होराइजन के लिए मल्टीपल मिनट्स और इंटरैक्शन लेटेंसी के लिए रियल टाइम शामिल है।
So was that correct? Like I do not speak Hindi, so I'm relying on, like, hopefully somebody here speaks it. So one thing that's quite interesting is that sometimes we find dialects or languages that have very few speakers are represented. Does anybody have a language that they would like to see tested, or a dialect? I'll check the Telugu. Telugu was the first one that I saw, so we're going to try with that. And I've never tried it before. We'll try Tamil next. But let's see if we can get this to work. So I'm going to say only respond to the user and Telugu. So just making it very, very lightweight in terms of the system prompt. To make it much more accurate, you can ask Gemini to craft the system prompt for you. So to do kind of the specific accents or dialects, this is usually quite helpful, especially if there are conventions in different regions. This is really popular with dialects in Brazil. And then we're going to try again and see how well it does. Hey, Gemini, can you tell me what you see on the screen?
స్క్రీన్ పై గేమ్ జెన్, జీనీ 2 మరియు వియో మధ్య రెజల్యూషన్, డొమైన్, కంట్రోల్, ఇంటరాక్షన్ హొరైజన్ మరియు ఇంటరాక్షన్ లేటెన్సీ వంటి అంశాల ఆధారంగా పోలిక పట్టిక కనిపిస్తుంది.
Is that correct? Or amazing. And then last one, we're gonna try is Tamil. Hey there, Gemini. Could you tell me what you see on the screen, and then also tell me what temperature it is in San Francisco today?
படத்தின்படி கேம் ஜென், ஜீனி 2 மற்றும் வியோ ஆகியவற்றுக்கு இடையேயான ஒப்பீடு காட்டப்பட்டுள்ளது. தெளிவுத்திறனில் வியோ 720p முதல் 4K வரை கொண்டுள்ளது. இது ஜீனி 2 மற்றும் கேம் ஜென் விட அதிகம். மேலும் கேம் ஜென் நிகழ்நேர இடைவினை காலதாமதத்தை இன்டராக்ஷனை கொண்டுள்ளது. சான் பிரான்சிஸ்கோவில் இன்றைய வெப்பநிலை 9 டிகிரி செல்சியஸ் முதல் 13 டிகிரி செல்சியஸ் வரை இருக்கும் என்று கணிக்கப்பட்டுள்ளது. அத்துடன் லேசான மழைக்கும் சாய்ப்புள்ளது.
Cool. So, and that was correct. Like in terms of the temperature in San Francisco, if you see it was able to invoke one of the kind of the tools that we incorporated into this experiment at the very beginning. It's able to look up information natively on Google search, and it can incorporate that back into its function call to the model, and it summarizes the result as an output. So it's really cool to see how easily Gemini is able to move between languages. You can also ask, just as we saw in the first example, without modifying the system prompt, and kind of have the conversation dynamically change based on a person's conversation history. But one of my favorite things about AI Studio is that if you click Get Code here off to the right, you can see all of the code that you would need to use to replicate whatever you just did in the UI. So it selects the correct model for you. It shows what tools you used, if any. If you had selected function calls that you wanted the model to incorporate in, it was able to, it would kind of use those within the code snippet as well. And then it also incorporates any system instructions or any prompting that you might have given into the model too. So this is super helpful. Right now we have the code snippets in Python and in TypeScript, but it makes it very easy to go from something working within the AI Studio UI to working as part of your project. So this is hopefully helpful to y'all as you're testing out different APIs and thinking about building your companies. I've also not been super vigilant when it comes to watching the chat. And so I'll take a look at a couple of the questions just to make sure I'm not missing anything. I see one from Arvind. How's this version of the native audio model different than the previous version in terms of voice quality, latency, and price? So this is a great question. Within Google, we're investing quite a lot in audio to audio. So not having to take the stacked approach of speech to text, LLM understanding, and then text to speech, which is what you get from a lot of different model service providers. And actually, I think I have a visual for this. Let me go ahead and pull it up real quick. Another thing that I should probably call out is that for this Gemini Live model that we just saw, about a minute of interaction ends up being a penny. So it's pretty well priced in terms of just the amount that you would have to pay in order to use the API. Whereas if you're attempting to do something like stacking together speech to text, LLM understanding, and text to speech, it can be significantly more expensive. And then it also introduces a lot more latency. So if you are using a kind of a speech to text model, something like Whisper, and then you have an intermediate large language model component, and then a text to speech, a dedicated text to speech model, there's quite a bit of latency introduced as part of each one of those component steps. Whereas if you're just doing audio tokens in, audio tokens out to the model, all of that latency can kind of get wiped away. Oh, and and apologies, it's different than the previous native audio model in the sense that tool calling has improved, which you'll notice if you have projects that incorporate function calling in any way or calls to MCP servers. And there's also been better support for regional accents and dialects within this new audio to audio model. Yeah, and you can definitely use structured outputs, including invoking calls to MCP servers with the audio to audio models. The structured outputs, the way that you can use them in AI Studio is very, very similar to how you would use them with other services. So you can define an open API schema and then use that for your structured outputs. Something else that is quite helpful if you're trying to navigate the different models and their capabilities is our new build feature. The build feature is available in the left-hand side pane of AI Studio as well. I'm going to collapse it just so we have a little bit more real estate. But build gives you the ability to describe an app that you would want to see. And then to have it realized just as kind of an initial prototype that you could then deploy to something like Cloud Run. So as an example, if you kind of describe the app that you would like to see created, I've gotten to the point where Gemini is very, very good. So I try to describe so many things that I attempt to break the build feature so that it's forced to fix itself. And I think it's a really cool UX thing to see the app circle around and try to fix itself. But let's try to create an app that will perplex Gemini and then also incorporate things like function calling and native audio. So let's see. I'll try to imagine something. Create an app that uses the webcam to take a picture of the user. The app should then use Nano Banana to show the user in a Santa hat and wearing a funny like winter themed sweater. The app should be an app that gives the user the ability to have a conversation with Santa Claus. Santa should ask the user what they want for Christmas. And as the user describes the things they want for Christmas, we should see each one of those items kind of displayed in table form in the app. And we should also see a cost estimate for each item as it gets displayed in the app. And at the end of it, Santa should ask the user some questions to determine if they are naughty or nice. And I've never built this before, so like let's see if it actually works. So let's go ahead and build. There was also an I'm feeling lucky button. The I'm feeling lucky button kind of generates a new app idea, incorporating a whole bunch of stitched together components, just in case you didn't have an app idea yourself and you wanted to get some inspiration. There are also some building block components that you can incorporate in to kind of give Gemini more information if you want to use specific services, but it should be able to use the latest models and the latest features, just because it's baked into the AI Studio UI and it has tight coupling with the generative AI SDK. So we can see here kind of the thought process for Gemini as it's going about thinking through all of the different components that it would need to incorporate. The webcam functionality, it should be writing the code along the way. There's also something down here, a little plus sign where you can add files. So you can upload files for if you like a UI design, if you have a text file with bunches of rules and requirements that you could pull in, if you have a PDF that you want to incorporate into the design for the feature, or a doc that you want to incorporate, all of that gets added to this process of generating the app itself. You can also save to GitHub here off to the right to a public or a private repo. You can download all of the files, and you can also add more files within the code section. But it looks like we have a first iteration, so let's go ahead and try. It looks like it's having some struggles starting the camera. So you can see it kind of flash the camera. I think it's because it's getting confused with the different things that I have available. So like it's getting confused between the meet stream and then the camera itself in the app. And so I could say like the camera is flickering, please fix, and send. And what should happen is that Gemini kind of takes in this screenshot. So it's got, I used the annotation feature down here towards the bottom. You can also annotate to say like, hey, I don't like the color of this button, or I don't like the kind of design of this website. And it's able to figure out what you need to modify otherwise. And then it's figuring out the camera flicker issue, and which files it would need to change in order to resolve the flickering. So let's see how well Gemini is able to do this, and I'll take a look at the chat as well along the way. So Mayuk said, how can I have the same control with Gemini Live as I have with speech to text, LLM, and text to speech? So if you do prefer having kind of the stacked features with your speech to text, LLM, and text to speech pipeline, we do have a new Gemini text to speech model. So, oh, there we go. So it looks like the camera's been fixed. So I'm going to take a selfie. It looks like the elves are knitting a sweater, which is very cute. And it's given me like a Santa hat and a little a sweater with very cute little sequins. And let's see. So ho ho ho, it's wonderful to see you. Don't be shy. So it looks like a Santa message. I would like a red bicycle. And it has the estimated cost added. And it looks like, let's see. So it looks like there might be a chat error. I also wanted this to be more of a conversation with Santa. So maybe I could say something like, instead of a chat, please use Gemini Live to give so that the user can have a conversation with Santa via voice. And let's see how well that changes. But we do have a Gemini text-to-speech API. So let me pull this up really quick so you can see. The text-to-speech API does give you kind of the ability to if you want to use something like speech to text in a different large language model other than Gemini, you would be able to do that. However, you would probably have significantly more in terms of costs, just because, again, you're stacking together multiple models. And you would also probably experience more latency because it's passing tokens back and forth through multiple services, as opposed to just relying on a single service. And then there's a question from Ritu. How do you differentiate between copyrighted data and handle data sovereignty? If you want data to reside in a specific country, with Vertex AI, you can specify a different geolocation. So you can say, I want, actually, let me pull up the generative AI SDK really quick, because it's just easier to see in code form. So with the AI Studio API calls, your kind of client definition looks a little bit like this. If you're using Vertex, you also have the ability to specify a different location. So if, as an example, you wanted all of the users who are using your product in Germany to have their data stored or processed in Germany and kept in Germany, then you could specify that location. I'm not sure if that answers your question. And for the pre-training and post-training of Gemini, we only use publicly available, permissively licensed data or data that we have permissions to train on. Cool. And so let me head back to the app to see how well it gets taken. Hey there, Santa. Or it looks like the microphone is getting co-opted as well. Or let's try autofix and see if that resolves it. And I'll take a look back at the chat as well. So a question from Anurag: when it comes to medical and diagnostic use cases, what is the state of the Gemini models in terms of accuracy and the cutoff date of the training data? So the cutoff date for our training data is shown for the different models on our model page. So you can see as each model is released, they'll tell you, oh, it's January 2025 or February 2025 or something similar. So you have insights into the model and its capabilities. For medical data, historically, for our first iterations of Gemini, for Palm 2 as well, we had to do specialized fine-tunes for medical data. So you might remember MedPalm or MedLM, which was a fine-tuned variant of the first iteration of Gemini. Over time, we took all of those fine-tuning data sets and incorporated them back into model pre-training. So now we're seeing, even for medical use cases, the models are able to do quite well at analyzing things like X-rays, patient data, especially if you incorporate that information into the system prompt. So all of these things should be incorporated into the latest releases of the Gemini models, and we're trying to make them very, very good at each one of these more kind of vertical domains. And for the training data cutoff, if you expand each section about the models on the ai.google.dev models page, I'll add a link into the chat. You should be able to see insights into the models themselves, the different capabilities that they have, and then also the knowledge cutoff and the latest update. Though if you do supplement it with the Google search API kind of being turned on, then all of the kind of search history since that time would be incorporated to help fill in the gaps for anything that it doesn't have as part of its training data cutoff. And so let me try one last time. I actually really like seeing the iteration. Hey, Santa, how you doing?
Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas in advance. I'm doing just fine, my friend. Now, tell me, what have you got on your wish list for old Santa this year?
Santa, I would really like a red bicycle, please.
A red bicycle, you say? Ho ho! Sounds like you're ready for some very merry rides. Let me add that to your wish list right away. I'd say that bicycle probably costs somewhere around $200. Anything else on your mind? Now, what else is that little head of yours thinking about for Christmas? Ho ho ho! Don't be shy. You can tell Santa.
Santa, yep. Santa, I would like a smartwatch, and that's all.
A smartwatch, you say? Very modern. You'll be able to keep track of all the fun things you do. Let me add that to your wish list. A smartwatch probably costs somewhere around $300. Anything else you're dreaming of? Ho ho ho! A smartwatch and a red bicycle. Sounds like you'll be the merriest kid around. Now, let's talk about the naughty or nice scale. Tell me, have you been helping your parents this year, or have you been causing some mischievous mayhem?
Definitely mayhem.
Oh dear, mayhem, you say? Ho, don't worry your little head about it. Now, here's another question for you. Have
Definitely
you
not sharing. I'm also not sharing anything.
not sharing, you say? Ho, don't worry your little head about anything.
I
Some
also
of the
have not
best
been doing,
toys
I
are
have not
kept
been doing
close. Now, here is one last
Santa.
question. Have you been doing your homework this year, or have you been more like a little elf that forgets their lists?
Definitely not doing homework.
Not doing homework, you say? Ho ho ho! Well, it all sounds like a bit of fun to me. Based on
So
your answer,
clearly, Santa is biased to think that everybody is nice. But regardless, that was pretty good. Thank you, Santa.
ho ho ho! Santa sees all, and he also knows that every little child has a
Awesome. So that was just an example of an app that you could create. If you did want to deploy it, you have all of the code, so you could download all of the code, including the Gemini service, all of the different prompts that were incorporated and configured. You could use as well. And the live API that was incorporated works not just for English, but for multiple languages. So just like we did in that experiment, you could toggle between the different languages too. And then to deploy the app, all you would have to do is select a project, and it would deploy the app attached to that project to a unique URL that you could share with your friends, and also start logging and monitoring all of the data that you have coming in. via AI Studio if you turned on logs and data sets, which is quite nice. So just to check really quickly, I'd be happy to share a link to the Santa app afterwards. And then since the app is React Native, you would also be able to use it on a phone. So you can kind of have a question from Samir: could Santa call Tim and get Tim's wish list and convey that back to Tim's mom, the user? So actually, there was a really interesting project just recently that incorporated the Twilio API. And if you're using something like Twilio, you can actually make phone calls, get the information, log it, store it, save it, and then and kind of build that capability into your app. But to use Twilio, you would need to. My recommendation would be to save to GitHub, and then you could clone the repo locally, and then add in or npm install anything that you would need to work with Twilio. Cool. And yes, you should be able to. Right now, AI Studio only supports React Native and Angular, but if you click this plus sign, you should be able to upload any directory of zipped file, like a zipped directory of files, and incorporate it into AI Studio itself. So as an example, if I wanted to download this app, so I just downloaded the app, deploy it via my personal account. So let me zoom over really quickly to my personal account on AI Studio. Nobody judge me. Like I could sort of add the app here. So upload the zipped file, the Santa's Workshop. It extracts out all of the different files that we had just had as part of the other app. I click deploy, select the cloud project, deploy. It deploys to Cloud Run, so it kind of handles the scaling issue, so you don't have to. It gives me a unique URL, which is the same thing that we were just taking a look at. I'm going to copy this to the clipboard and share it here, so y'all can all take a look at it as well. And then it also kind of adds all of the logs and all of the metrics associated for it too, so you can see these as they're coming in. You can also see one unified place for all of your billing. So if I go to billing, you can see the different costs that you have associated, the different services that you're calling, and also just how cheap Cloud Run happens to be. Like I've easily got over 100 apps deployed, and Cloud Run and cloud storage is still super, super inexpensive for the number of services that are being used. So I see a question from Mayuk. Can I augment the LLM with data? So things like RAG, and can I achieve that via the live API? So that's a really, really good question. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you something that perhaps you haven't seen just yet. I'm going to select one of the Flash models so that it might be easier to pull in. We have something called URL context, and we also have something new called the file search API. But I'll explain what they do. So URL context, if you turn it on, gives you the ability to add, I think up to 20, perhaps even more now, different links, and you can incorporate those links into the model output. So if I turn off Google search, maybe I go to the AI Studio docs. I take a look at some of the documentation. So maybe I pull in Lyria. Maybe I pull in some information about rate limits. Maybe I pull in something about API keys. And then something completely different. Cliff Stoll, who's amazing, sells Klein bottles. So I'm going to add a link to that. And I'm also going to add a link to Clifford Stoll also wrote a really cool book called The Cuckoo's Egg. And I'll add a link to the Wikipedia page for that just real quick. And so we've got all of these different links that I've added into my prompt. I could say something about like write a short poem about Klein bottles and the KGB, and also tell me a little bit about pricing for the Nano Banana models in table format. And click run. And what should happen is that we get an output with cited sources from this reference link of URLs. And so you can see the different sources that it pulled in. And then it also gave a poem about topological dossiers for Klein bottles. And it cited its sources along the way. So this is kind of like a quick and easy RAG on a small number of data sources. And again, if you kind of click the code section, it will give you whatever you would need in order to replicate. The other thing that I would recommend taking a look at is called the file search API. And the file search API enables RAG for you. So it will kind of do the chunking for you. It will index your data. It supports a variety of different files. So Excel files, Word documents, XML files, whatever you can kind of think of. And then it does the RAG automatically for you, so you don't have to kind of stand up the vector database yourself and keep it refreshed, or try to figure out what the most optimal path might be in terms of chunking for it. So I would strongly recommend taking a look at that. And then, of course, if you did want to incorporate retrieval with any of the calls to the Gemini models, you should be able to do that as well. Cool. If you need to use HIPAA compliant approaches, I would strongly recommend using the Vertex AI APIs. However, if you're a paying customer for AI Studio, so if you've attached a credit card, all of your data is kept private. Google can't see anything. We can't even see anything in order to like help you debug it. So it is kept private just to you. I will say though, one of the things that we've been pushing really hard for over the course of this last year is that we have one unified SDK for TypeScript across the Gemini APIs and across Vertex. And we have one unified Python SDK across the Gemini APIs and AI Studio and across Vertex. So if you use AI Studio, you get code, that code should work with Vertex as well. And there are startup credits. The startup credits also apply to towards the Gemini APIs in AI Studio. So Ramohan said how to fine-tune function calling. So you can't fine-tune the Gemini models, but you can do function calling within AI Studio. And the way that you would go about doing that is you just turn on function calling here off to the right. You can click edit, and then you can add function declarations or just edit as code for the function declarations to incorporate it in. There's also a really excellent function calling guide, including function calling with things like MCP servers that you can use as well. And if you care about structured output, so as an example, I'll go back to the playground, turn on structured outputs really quick, and then maybe add some properties. So like a landmark name, a country name, a city name, and an image description, and click save. And then maybe I'll add something from sample media, like maybe this one of the Eiffel Tower. It should give me back a JSON blob in a structured format. So there we go. So it has the landmark name, the country name, the city name, and the image description along the way. And then if I click get code, you should also see the kind of schema object for those structured output features that I turned on as well. So a question from Ganesh, do you plan to support Flutter and Dart as well? So that's not on the roadmap at the moment, but again, like if you create an app in the build feature, it's using React Native, so it should be mobile compatible. Though not, you know, certainly not as fully featured as you would get from kind of a more native app. And Neil said, so with your new audio feature, we can replace 11 Labs. I did not say that. Like 11 Labs is doing great things. But I will say that if you don't like the idea of kind of having to roll your own speech to text LLM and then text to speech pipeline, I certainly don't. I much prefer having like one singular API call that I have to make. It's a lot easier for me to wrap my brain around. Then Gemini Live could be a really solid option for y'all. And it's also quite a bit cheaper and faster. Cool. And then one of the last things that that perhaps I can show is, let me see if I can pull up the deep research example. This is the interactions API that I was mentioning before. So we have this new Deep Research Pro Preview model that we released this month using our interactions API. You can ask it pretty detailed questions. So as an example, I'll be traveling all over Australia during the winter holidays. I have an unlimited number of rides. Could you please generate this trip report? Let me go ahead and make sure that the API key has been selected. So let's try. I'm not sure if I've added the collab. And for folks who haven't seen Colab before, Colab is kind of a fast path towards towards interacting with Python in notebook form. So I'm going to do this. Add this right here, Gemini API key. and then do the sample query. And it should take a while. Client option. Oh, so I need to pip install the latest version. And then run this again. And then it should start doing the work. Let me try refreshing the, the environment. But as I do this, there will be a recording. Does Gemini need the data passed to it via a database, or can it directly read the data from the phone and analyze it locally? So you should, one of the nice things about the Gemini models is that they have a pretty significant context window. So you can, I don't think that we have it, so we have it kind of mentioned inline, but there's a 1,000,000 token context window for the latest Gemini Flash models, and the larger Gemini models, which means you can add pretty significantly sized JSON blobs, CSV files, like all sorts of things, into the context window for the models themselves. So it's, you don't necessarily have to kind of put the data in a database and do SQL queries against it to pull it in. One of the other quite nice things that I like is there's a feature called code execution, which gives you the ability to write Python code, execute it, and then incorporate those responses into the model's outputs as well. So you could say something, like, trying to think of a good thing to add in, since I don't have a spreadsheet handy, but you could say something like create a list of 10,000 random numbers from 0 to 21, and then plot their distribution. And hopefully this should trigger code to get written. And you can see the code getting written and executed along the way. And it looks like the restarting the runtime is doing its job, and so our deep research query is running. And while it's running, I will look back in the chat. One thing that I really, really love about, well, I love a lot of things about the Gemini models, but one thing that brings me a lot of joy is that the pre-training mix and post-training mix for a lot of different language models is predominantly English, because most of the benchmarks are in English. But for Gemini, there's been significant investment in making sure that the models are able to understand many, many, many different languages. And pre-training and post-training incorporate not just English, but a lot of other languages, accents, dialects, not just written, but also spoken. So even if there's a little bit of sometimes, like, perhaps less capabilities in terms of English language only benchmarks, you'll see much higher representation in terms of multilingual results on benchmarks, which is quite cool to see. So Anil said you have a full-blown workflow builder using natural language, but it's restricted to specific organizations. Is there any way to access this for developers to build workflows? Is this agent space that you're mentioning, Anil, or is it something else?
It's a Copilot studio, which is available. I just sent you another chart. It's an innovators program that is offered in US for large corporations. It's a 90-day usage program, basically approved only for the large corporations.
Gotcha. So I do know of something that had previously been called Agent Space. Now it's Gemini Enterprise. That is giving people the ability to kind of connect to multiple data sources, build and orchestrate workflows, especially those incorporating workspace products. You can also use the Gemini models with things like N8N. If you kind of search through some of the templates that are available here, the Gemini, there are tons and tons of examples using Gemini and Nano Banana. But we can check to see if there's any sort of innovators program that might be useful to get added to. I love N8N, by the way. Like if you've never tried it out, it's a really solid open source product. And for each one of these examples, these template patterns, they also show you kind of this very, very beautiful flowchart visualization for all of the different services that get connected along the way. And then Shani asked, does Gemini learn the user's typical speech pattern and see if there's a sudden deviation from their typical speech? That's an excellent question. There's something within the live feature. Let me pull it up really quick. Where you can see effective dialogue and proactive audio. Effective audio, if you turn it on, kind of adapts the model's speech patterns based on the speech patterns that it's hearing from the user. So if the user starts speaking with a sad voice or with a voice that might feel a little bit more frustrated, Gemini will modify its tone in order to kind of better respond to that new voice. Also, someone I went to university with was named Shani Nadeem. So like a very, very good name. And then Anil said there are a lot of Paige Baileys. Like it's 100%. Like, and so let me. Oh my gosh, Shani, it's so good to see you. That's amazing. Like it's oh, that's so awesome. That made my night. Like the super, super cool. But that is dynamic web page is my LinkedIn. Amazing. And then let's see anything else that would be good to share. Yeah. So it looks like the deep research query is still plugging and chugging away. It can go up to 60 minutes long for the deep research queries. But then once they get generated, for this example at least, it would get saved as a text file within the notebook. And I'll happily share the notebook so that all of y'all can try it out yourself. Cool. And I believe I am over time. I keep thinking about the person who was mentioning that they were dialing in from around like the East Coast. Like as fun as this is, like I don't know if it's like 1 a.m. style fun.
Paige, we've so sorry
definitely
to break your flow. We've got
No worries.
about 10 to 15 minutes. It was a 90-minute block. So if you'd like to take some questions just from the group that's here and close out the session, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So it looks like Manoran is the first question.
Hi. So regarding the audio to audio input output from the Gemini, so you have said Google has used many audios, including different languages, multiple languages for training the audio, right? But
Yes.
audio is used for training the LLM also, because LLM is trained with the knowledge from the language test, mostly English, right? The LLM understand English knowledge only. It doesn't understand other language knowledge, right?
No. Gemini can understand multiple languages. So if you it can understand multiple languages in terms of audio, multiple languages in terms of written text. So you can use Gemini models even for things like translation. And I'll just because we're waiting on the deep research example as well. I can toggle over to the playground again. Let me select one of the Gemini Flash models, and then I could say something. So I'm going to record audio, and I could say something like,
You can say non-English.
well, so I'm gonna record something real quick. Everybody be a little bit quiet. Wer reitet so spät durch Nacht und Wind? Es ist der Vater mit seinem Kind. Hat den Knaben wohl in dem Arm. Hält ihn sicher, hält ihn warm. And add it to the prompt. So that was German, and I could say something like, please translate this audio snippet into English, and also give a transcription with timestamps in table format. Also translate into French and Italian, and hit run. And it's able to do the English translation. And it is a quote from Koenig. It's the first little bit of it, with the start time, French translation, and in Italian translation as well. And there are, for the Gemini Live models, there are fixed voices. So you can see the different voices that are available on the right. But we're also anticipating having voice cloning coming soon. So it wouldn't just be relying on those voices.
Just a last question. Can you ask some German book question in a German book, whether it knows it or not? Let's see.
A German question in a German book? What?
Yes.
So what would that look like?
Some book like what is this character in this book? Why is it saying something like this? Something like some reasoning. Yeah.
Reasoning. So I'm not sure if I'm understanding the question, but we can look at Project Gutenberg as an example. I think they have some German language books. German language, so maybe something like Faust. Subject.
Some book is.
This one. Mittelniederdeutsches Handwörterbuch. It's a dictionary, so maybe that's not the best thing. The best thing to ask about. But we could say plain text. So this is quite a bit of text. The German, let's see if we can find like file type PDF German startup. I will say though that Dr. It should be able to to search through a book that is in a different language, even if you're asking questions in a different language to answer them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep, absolutely. And then who was next in terms of questions?
Yeah, hi madam. Hi Paige, it's Abhinash here.
Yep.
So, like, I'll just give you a little brief. We are a small startup out of Chennai, and we have been using the Gemini models since July. So we have seen the evolution from the preview models to the native models.
Mhm.
Gemini 2 and from 2.5, Gemini Live was really super. We love the product very much. We have been like pushing it on to our customers also, and then like informing them about the speech-to-speech stuff and all. So we have had more than 1 lakh, that is 100,000 open sessions with the Gemini model, ranging from 2.5 preview to native 09 and native 12, which opened up on the 13th of this month.
Mhm.
Okay, madam. So, and we've also seen the evolution of the AI Studio product from like initially just generating API keys to actually showing a bunch of stuff as to what is happening on the backend. The thing is, we are actually facing some issues in the sense that once AI Studio started showing more details, right, we can see that we are having some conflict errors on the backend. So in our stack, we are not using the GenAI SDK. We essentially are like talking over WebSockets, and we have built our own implementation of a call stack for outbound and inbound. Okay. So the thing is, initially it was showing up as 409 server errors. We have raised a bunch of GitHub issues, but there was no movement on that. But after the 13th, which the native 13th model, which came on 13th of December, she's actually very, very good. It's a superior model. The support for Indian languages from Germany has always been sensational. But the thing is, we are now facing internal server error issues. Maybe this is not the right forum to bring it up, but we have not been able to like get in touch
So
and support from Gemini for all this stuff. We have
So-
posted screenshots on GitHub also on the GenAI SDK, but
so
things are moving.
So
So-
definitely feel free to email me and to email Arthur and the AI Futures Fund team. But like I don't want to volunteer them. I don't want to volunteer them without their consent. So please feel free to email me. And then we can tag in the PM from the Gemini Live API. He is also really, really looking for customer use cases of people who are using the Gemini Live APIs for things like marketing case studies, use cases, like all of the good things that can get visibility on companies and their services. So this could be great in two senses. One, it could help get your the issues that y'all are experiencing fixed, but otherwise it could lead to your company being highlighted for a use case either on social media or as a blog post. So strongly recommend sending over any feedback. And then also one company that we work pretty closely with is called Daily. They created a product called PipeCat. And PipeCat.
Yeah, man, our customers have been asking us why we are not using PipeCat Live Kit, and I think you have some Vox implant partners also on your docs page. But we have gone with having our own implementation for the call stack with the telephony provider. So we essentially do recovery calls, reminder calls for NBFCs and small businesses which want to like get updates from their customers, and to like we essentially, it's a big funnel which we're using it for.
Yep.
We actually love. I as a developer really love the Gemini API and the performance for our local regional models. But
Awesome.
the support thing has been like
It's
we have-
really
really
hard, and
yes.
I would strongly recommend, now that y'all are part of the AI Futures Fund collaboration, it should be easier to get a faster path to support. The discourse forum and GitHub, just because there are such a large number of users, it can be hard to get signal from noise. But now that y'all are hopefully going to become part of the early access program and the trusted tester program, it will get you a faster path towards getting some of these questions answered.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it looks like our deep research query finished. So the deep research query was able to sort of answer the question and to also cite a lot of the sources that it incorporated along the way to help answer the question that I had shared. So this was an agent that incorporated search, went across the web, scoured a whole bunch of resources, got all of the resources, pulled them back, synthesized them together into a report. And then if we kind of copy and paste this into a gist, and then research report dot markdown, you can see that it's pretty detailed for the different recommendations that it made.
Cool. So I have a query with respect to the quota tier for the Gemini free versus the Gemini paid, and like how you can increase your tier in a particular project.
Yeah. So excellent question. There is a hidden, or at least it feels very hidden to me, section in the rate limit documentation that says request a paid tier rate limit increase. So if you submit this and give details, you should be able to get increased from a tier 1 to a higher tier. The trick is with Gemini 3 at the moment, because it's not a GA'd model. The quota is really, and it eats up a whole bunch of TPUs. The quota can be a little bit challenging to manage. I will say that that in the span of well, I'm not going to say how many hours, but imminently there will be another model that hopefully will be able to solve some of the problems that folks have been trying to tackle with Gemini 3 Pro. And so I would encourage everyone to be vigilant and to be watchful for this new model. You know, it's also hours until Christmas, so who knows? But I would encourage everyone to stay vigilant and watch out for this new model, and test it out when it arrives.
Eagerly waiting for the flash.
Yep. I did not say any words other than hours and new model will appear, and So when we look forward to hearing what everybody, the entire team's very, very excited about this model. So hopefully everybody else in the world is excited too.
Thanks.
Yep.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Paige. Anyone in the group, if you have any other questions, now's the time to go for it.
And I'm also around, the entire team is here to help y'all be successful, to make it easier for you to incorporate the Gemini models into your companies. So feel free to message us anytime. I think somebody also mentioned that they're from Chennai. One of my favorite product humans who's working on the Jules sort of thing in labs. He's also from Chennai, AK Kulkarni. So hopefully we can get him and the Jules team to come talk to y'all soon too.
Hey, Paige, this is Anil. Is there any way that we can extend the anti-gravity, limits per day? Because it's still in the
Man, I also wish for this. Like we're all in the same boat. I heard from the anti-gravity team that they're thinking about introducing a feature where you can add an API key. Which would give you at least the ability to kind of incorporate a paid tier in addition to the Gemini Pro and Ultra subscription options, but that hasn't landed just yet. So I think we can definitely keep y'all posted as the team introduces those features.
Thank you.
Hey, hi Paige. This is Ram. So I'm building the agent using Gemini APIs. So I'm using the function calling also. So recently, there is an rare scenario occurs to me, like the function name while it is returning, it is giving some different name, like adding some hyphens or extra underscores. Sometimes it is not returning the exact tool name, so our code getting getting issues. So is there any solution or suggestion?
If you could send the examples that you're seeing with incorrect function calling, this is something that the team is really trying to improve. Like the entire focus of the last several model training runs has been, trying to improve tools use, function calling, and model performance for these more code related use cases. So if you're experiencing any anti-patterns, the team definitely wants to know more about it. So if you could send that, I'd be happy to forward it along to the engineering team.
Yeah, sure.
Paige, just to add to your point, there's a solution for similar problem already by OpenAI Instructor. So you have anything like the Instructor with Google?
So I will say we do have quite a few tools that are available to improve kind of the process of building agents. One of which is called the ADK. I'm not sure if y'all have heard of the Agent Development Kit, but not this one, the ADK Google. Yeah, this might make it a little bit easier to work with the Gemini APIs for building agents. But you can also use it with any open source project that's available. And if folks are interested in building agents, we could pull in somebody from the ADK team to talk a little bit more about this.
Hey, Paige, a quick question about the pricing of the native audio model that you just showed, the December version. In the pricing page, I see for the output per million tokens, it's $12 for audio. Whereas in AI Studio, when I hover and look at the price, it's the other way around, $2 for the text and $12 for the audio. Can you clarify on that?
Yeah. So if you're seeing a price discrepancy between the pricing page and AI Studio, definitely send an email to let me know. I would go by the pricing page, but it would be good to verify. And I think that even though $12 per million tokens output sounds like a lot, in terms of conversation, it actually ends up being relatively little if you're just having audio tokens. But we'll get the pricing sorted so that you all have an answer.
Sure, thanks. But has there been a change since the September version?
Yes, we have a new model released, and I do believe the pricing changed since September. So for the December model, I think the pricing might be a little bit different.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah.
All righty, I think we're just about at time. Everyone who's joined and Paige, thank you so much for your time and for supporting the Indian builder and founder community. Really appreciate it. Hope we can do this again. And
Absolutely. And like I said, I think y'all would really love seeing a session on Jules, a section on ADK. Like, I think there's, if folks want to have more folks from the engineering and product teams come in, there are definitely opportunities for it.
Absolutely. And we'll stay in touch with this community that's joined today to be able to set those up down the line. But for today, from all of us, happy holidays and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Paige.
Bye. And it was good to see you, Shani.